represent ANC. I'm a member of the elections board.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. Ann Kanyi, kindly unmute and say hello to everyone.
Yes, Maureen, thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Ann Kanyi. I come from Nyeri. I'm representing Wiper Democratic Party. I'm the deputy chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ann. We now go to Eunice Marimbi. Eunice, if you can hear me. Eunice Marimbi, if you can hear me. I think we'll come back to her later. We now go to Dr. Jacob Haji. He's back. Doctor, kindly unmute and say hello to everyone. I can see you speaking, but you're not yet unmuted. We will come back to Dr. Jacob Haji as he fixes his mic. We now go to David Maina. David, if you can hear me, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, David.
Good afternoon. I represent PDU.
Thank you so much, David. We're happy to have you today here representing the PDU. We go to Salim Saidi. Salim, if you can hear me, kindly unmute, say hello to everyone.
Thank you, Maureen. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Salim Mohammed Busaidi, ANC Party Elections Board, and we're hoping to have a very fruitful discussion this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Salim. We're happy to have you. Dr. Haji, we can hear you.
Yes, yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello. How are you?
Hello, Dr. Haji. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I'm here now. How was your day? Hello.
Hello, Dr.
You can hear me?
Haji. Yes, we can hear you, Dr. Haji.
Yes, we can.
How was your day?
So far,
Are
so
you all
good.
right?
We can't complain.
Good,
Yes,
good.
yes, Dr. Haji.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Haji. Dr. Haji is representing the Democratic Party. Thank you so much. We're happy to have you. Maybe you may kindly now mute your mic. Thank you. We now go to Gladys Wanjiko. Gladys, if you can hear me, good afternoon.
Afternoon to you. I'm Gladys Wajiko. Hello?
Yes, yes, Gladys, we can hear you.
I'm Gladys Wajiko representing PDU from Kajiado.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Gladys from PDU. We're happy to have you. We now go to Atieno Ogola. Atieno, if you can hear me.
Yes. Oh.
Atieno Ogola from Kano, if you can hear me. Okay, I think we'll get back to her. Marjorie from ORPP.
Good afternoon, everyone. Marjorie O'Kale from Office of the Registrar of Political Parties. Thank you.
Thank you, Marjorie. We're happy to have you here. And now let me welcome my colleague, Tracy, to say hello.
Good afternoon. My name is Tracy. I work with Marina at the Center for Most and I'm looking forward to fruitful discussion.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I'm going to kindly request that we all mute our mics. And now, without so much further ado, let me welcome our programs officer, Mr. Range Meter, to officially open for us the meeting, and also to welcome Lucas Kimanthi to make to facilitate the meeting. Range.
Thank you so much, my colleague Maureen. Good afternoon, participants. We are glad to have you all on board. And thank you for taking time to be part of this continuing conversation on how to mainstream the human rights within the operations of the political parties in Kenya. You will recall that a few weeks ago, we had Lucas here, Lucas Kimanthi from the Human Rights Commission, really taking us through a similar conversation. And now he has come up with the framework that we want to really share with our political parties to guide how we are going to integrate the human rights perspectives in our political and electoral processes. You will agree with me, ladies and gentlemen, that the quality of any democracy depends on the extent to which each and every person really feels represented in the political processes. And in any case, political participation of all groups in society is a constitutional imperative. We want to see that we can give our member parties the tools that can guide their processes, especially now that we are heading to the next elections. We are going to have very serious processes like the recruitment of members, registration of new members, the conduct of the party primaries, to be ensured that they really reflect the basic human rights that can be, so that each and every person feels really accommodated in the political process. So I want to thank you so much and wish you very fruitful deliberations this afternoon. And now may I take this opportunity to welcome Lucas Kimanthi, who is going to take us through the conversation. I wish you well in your deliberations. Thank you so much. Lucas, if you're there, or Maureen.
Thank you, Mwita. My name is Lucas Kimanthi. I work with the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights as an assistant director, and also in charge of political processes within the National Commission on Human Rights. I want to begin by saying that as a commission, one of the things that we've been doing since we were formed back in 2003 is to look at issues to do with accountability for both public and private institutions, and political parties included. We've monitored political processes since then, with major projects in 2007, 2013, and lastly in 2017. And therefore, in my presentation, I'm going to make reference to the experience of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights pertaining to issues to do with party primaries, operations within political parties, and all that. And of course, I would expect that you'll also be in a position to share your experiences to enrich the discussion. Allow me also to note that in 2017, we were very keen to monitor the party primaries. Reason being that you and I know that depending on the geographical situation of where a candidate is placed and the political party in question, the moment you secure that certificate, it's as good as you are either in the National Assembly in Senate or in the devolved units. In other places, the competition becomes a bit stiff, and therefore, that's the reason why, as a human rights commission, we seek to monitor the human rights aspects of the party primaries and other political processes which are related. Allow me to quote one line from our 2017 party primaries report, which is titled "The Fallacious Vote." The report is on our website, and you can find. I invite you to have a look at it later. And I read verbatim that non-adherence to electoral laws, code of conduct, and party rules point to a worrying trend of lawlessness and disregard to democratic ideals and good governance. Okay? And the above threatens the rule of law and perpetuates a culture of impunity. The reason why I'm raising that reference is because the moment we don't mainstream human rights in our party activities, whether it is nomination, whether it is registration, whether it is a party primaries, then if we don't do it, then we'll be perpetuating a culture of impunity, which of course we don't want such scenarios in this country. Allow me to share my screen for a few slides so that we build the momentum for the discussion. At any given time, as I make the presentation, if you want to raise a point or you want to interject, kindly let me know. The framework which I'm proposing here, I'll do it in bits. Look at the issue of accountability on the part of political parties and the aspect of human rights. Also, just do a quick reflection as to where we've come in terms of political party operations in this country since independence. And also just have a glance of critical legal instruments which guide operations of political parties in this country. And then thereafter, we look at the approach as to how we can mainstream the framework through the application of what I'm going to introduce later, known as the human rights based approach. And then thereafter, we are going to have an elaborate discussion on the framework, which we are proposing for adoption. In terms of introduction for my presentation, that this framework is purely to guide political parties mainstream human rights within the operations of political parties in this country. At this point, I want to pinpoint that political parties, by virtue of being registered, have their frameworks, they have a constitution, code of conduct, and other internal documents and manuals which operate guide the operations. But before then, as we proceed with our discussion this afternoon, one of the things that we need to consciously keep on thinking about is the issue of, as much as we have these documents, the constitution, the manuals, and all that, what about the issue of enforcement of the same? Then I want to say that the framework that I'm proposing through CMD is derived from the provisions of the Constitution and also other related legislation. And I'll be making a lot of reference to the Political Parties Act of 2011. And therefore, this is to mean that the framework is based on existing constitutional and legal provisions and not just from ideals which are imagined and all that. And then lastly, as I said, that this framework is a proposal for political parties to adopt and use as a guiding tool in internal processes. The aspect of accountability and human rights within political parties. I've just said that as a National Commission on Human Rights, together with other actors, local observers, international observers, other institutions, have been in the past interrogating, internal processes, activities of political parties. But allow me to say that it is better that through the framework that I'm going to propose, that if the aspect of self-assessment and internal, analysis of the way, the way political parties, plan their activities, then it is better. So that even by the time we are coming to interrogate how you are running the affairs of your political party, already you have a framework which will be able to give you an opportunity to do self-assessment. Secondly, accountability for political parties is first and foremost derived from the Constitution of Kenya. And I make reference to Article 91 of the Constitution. And in Article 91, allow me just to make reference to two very specific issues. That one, every political party, and this is the Constitution, not my own words, must respect the right of all persons to participate in the political processes, including minorities and marginalized groups. Okay. Then two, respect and promote human rights and fundamental freedoms, gender equality and equity. Okay. So you see now, the Constitution of this country, makes a requirement for political parties to respect the rights of the people to participate in the processes, and also to respect and promote the rights of the marginalized, disadvantaged groups, and also promote the aspects of gender equality and equity. And then to conclude on this slide, that all the key processes, okay, all the key processes within a political party, starting from the aspect of formation, okay, that when 2, 3, 4, 5, 20, 50 people come together and say there's need to form a political party named ABCD, that is where now the aspect of human rights must, begin from. The issue of registration. Are there legal requirements which are meant to protect and promote the rights of the members and also citizens of this country? Issues to do with recruitment, party primaries, nominations, and all that. And all these processes must have an aspect of, promotion and protection of human rights. Just a brief reflection as to how in this country we've been operating since 1963. We started as a multi-party democracy until 1969, when, although it was not within the law, we operated as a single party system up to 1982 when we had the constitutional amendments making it that by law the country will be a single party state. Until now, 1991, now when Section 2A of the then Constitution was repealed to allow Kenya to revert back to the multi-party system. I picked this information from the website of the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties that as at August 2021, we had 75 fully registered political parties in this country, which is guided by Section 34E of the Political Parties Act of 2011. And also to emphasize that political parties get their mandate from Article 91 of the Constitution and Political Parties Act, specifically if you look at Part 3 of the same. I just want us to have a brief reflection as to the legal instruments which guide the operations of political parties, which are very critical when it comes to the discussion around promotion and protection of human rights within political party activities and processes. Of course, the first one will be the Constitution, and I'll keep on making reference to Article 91. Then the Political Parties Act, which establishes a very critical office, the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, which is the regulator of political parties in this country. And then, of course, the others, Elections Act. Because of time, allow me not to go through all of them. IBC Act, and all that. And the reason why I'm raising this is because that these are the instruments which provide, one, for registration. It gives the requirements for registration of political parties. It gives, and outlines how elections must be conducted, and the seats thereof, disputes resolution, funding of political parties, and then how other key actors in elections, which also have a bearing on the operations of political parties, including IBC or PP, PDT, judiciary, and others, how they're supposed then to engage with political parties. Again, going back to Article 91 of the Constitution, Sub-Article 1E, that there is need for respect for political parties to respect the right of all persons to participate in political processes, including minorities and marginalized groups. And therefore, I'm sure this may not be very new to most of you, that there's a principle called human rights-based approach. And in the next slide, we are going to have a brief discussion as to what all this entails through a description of certain terminologies. Of course, the first one is the terminology which we are heavily using today, human rights. What are human rights? And in a nutshell, that there are certain entitlements that by virtue of being a human being, by virtue of being a citizen, by virtue of being you and me being I, that there are certain entitlements which come naturally. And then the approach to human rights, that it is, that deliberate, unconscious, would I call it an attempt to ensure that those entitlements, which by virtue of being a human being, you're entitled to, that in everything, all the activities within the political party then are given. Next, the principles that it is those accepted processes, and these processes should not in any way discriminate anybody, should be accountable, and should seek also to empower people. And then the standards, it is the minimum acceptable levels, okay? So that if we are political party A, then we should be able to say that when it comes to gender dimensions, that the law is very clear. 1/3, or if you choose to call it 2/3, that is the minimum acceptable level. So that when we are doing recruitment, registration, nominations, and all that, that is the minimum. At least 1/3 must be belonging to one gender. Then vulnerable groups that in society, in institutions, political parties are included, that there are certain members who would require, some special attention, reason being that they are susceptible to physical and emotional attack. For instance, if within a political party that we have persons with disabilities, one of the considerations that we need to do is to ensure that their voice is heard, okay? And therefore then I felt it's important just to briefly go through these terminologies, which are going to guide and enrich our discussion. The question at this point would be, how do we then mainstream this framework? How do we mainstream the human rights-based approach in our political parties? Okay. On my screen, if you look at the right-hand side, on top you see requirements or responsibilities. Then on the other side, you see obligations or duties, okay? And therefore, if you look at the lowest part, the members, that for a political party to be worth, that name, to be called a political party, that it has to have members. These members, either ordinary members, either the officials, because officials also have to be members of the political party. And therefore, that first set, in terms of requirements, one, if you look at the extreme end, at the lower left, lowest side, that these are now the people who hold the rights, okay? Members of a political party are the people who, I would say, require, to be given all the rights that we are discussing. And this will include, I've said, ordinary members, and also the party officials at whatever level. So what are their responsibilities? No, who are they? Before you go to responsibilities, that, the law is very clear that a political party must have, this sets of, and categories of members of society, youth, persons with disabilities, men, women, special groups, and all that. And therefore, quickly, then what are the obligations? What are the responsibilities by law required so that we have the guarantee of, promotion and protection of human rights within political parties? That one, it is expected that the membership must promote party ideals. If there are, contributions, fees to be paid, it is expected that all members, must, pay and be up to date in terms of records. Also participate in party activities, whether it is recruitment drives, whether it is party primaries, and such. In the second set, the political party. Now that once we have the members then coming together and forming the political party, it is expected that by law, that these political parties must have, list of members, offices, officials, records and accounts and such. And it is expected that if truly human rights promotion and protection is to be guaranteed within political parties, then these political parties must satisfy the constitutional and legal requirements, just like what we've reflected above there. And then, make sure that there are meetings so that members get the proper information, and, serve members, like when members require, certain information, they require, facilitation and all that. And then on top that we have the statutory bodies. This would be IBC, ORPP, constitutional commissions and all that. And it's expected that the political parties must, and also the statutory bodies must, adhere to the requirements in terms of law. And then in terms of the duties, then the regulation of these requirements within the law, so that if it's about regulating a political party, these statutory bodies like the ORPP, Auditor General and such, if they are to do any enforcement, then it has to be within the law. And then you notice that at that point, I'm saying that at this point from the political party to the statutory bodies, that these are bodies now which have, a duty to give the rights to the membership. And I repeat again, the membership would mean the ordinary members, the honorable members, party officials, and all that. You'll allow me to, on this part, to switch to a Word document because it's clearer than this one, so that every participant can have a clearer, a view on the same. So just give me a minute to share the next document. So on my screen right now is the framework which we are proposing the political parties. Again, allow me to reiterate that this is based on the existing legislation and mainly derived from the Political Parties Act and also the Constitution. And therefore, the other thing that I would want to pinpoint is that this will be a guide for political parties as they embark, on their, party processes for adoption and also mainstreaming. And then the other thing is I've tried to simplify it, avoiding, a lot of legal jargon and, trying to be straight to the point, so that it will be easier for political parties to apply the same. In terms of the requirements, so that political parties can satisfy and can promote and protect human rights within the activities. Of course, the first one is the constitutional aspect. Again, reference to Article 91 of the Constitution and any other relevant article, because also Chapter 6 of the Constitution, comes into play and all that. But let's just stick to Article 91 of the Constitution. That One, for a political party, to be seen, also to be extending, the rights of, every Kenyan to participate in the affairs, one of the requirements is to have a national outlook, so that, from Turkana to Lamu, from Kakamega to Garissa, across the country. That's, if you look at a political party, we'd say that, yeah, it demonstrates something that it can be seen every member of every community in this country is allowed to participate. And I think the indication there is that at least to have 50% of offices in the counties, have the head office, and this must be deliberately be included within the party documents. Then two, if you also look at section sabbatical 7, 3, A, B, C, D, and also 5, that the officials within a political party, the officials who form the governing body, must be democratically elected. It is a constitutional commission, so that if I'm a member of a certain political party, I should. Hello, I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes, Lucas, we can hear you.
Yeah, because I had seen now on the chat that. Okay. That as a member of a certain political party, that I should feel that the members of the governing body have not imposed on me, that I've been given an opportunity to democratically elect, the representatives. Okay, of course, this requires financial, human capital, and all that. And of course, the indication would be from, the names of the officials, submitted to the office of the registrar of political parties. The question of who becomes the leader of a political party. I know in this country and across the world that in most cases, it is usually the question of what did you bring to the table in terms of resources and also in terms of influence. So that if Kimanthi today decides to form a political party, does he have, that, political clout, to be considered, to be the patron of a political party, or is it, and therefore then the question of being given an opportunity, if I want to stand, for the contest, that it should be a democratic process. Comply with the legal, expectations, terms of composition of members. If you look at, and probably the representative from ORPP at some point can also tell us in terms of composition of just a rough estimate, because I know somewhere you have the figures, that the composition of membership in terms of gender for political parties, how do the numbers and the percentages look like, and does it meet the constitutional threshold? Of course, issues to do with others, gender, issues to do with persons with disabilities, youth, and special needs, and such. And this has to be a continuous, process in terms of, timelines. It's also a constitutional requirement that if human rights will be seen to be respected within political parties, that there must be strict adherence to the code of conduct, so that if let's say, for instance, Kimanthi belonging to a certain political party contravenes, provisions of, the party constitution, and then it is easier for the party officials to reprimand and punish Kimanthi. Yet when, let's say, the patron or the chairperson or the secretary general contravenes, the party constitution, then that it can be said, don't do that again, and then no punishment and all that. That there must be strict adherence, and that's why I said we might be having these beautiful documents in our offices, on our websites, but the adherence. How do we strictly observe, the contents of these documents? That should be very important. And this must be continuous, not just when we're having the party primaries, when we're having the elections, but throughout the electoral cycle. The next one, legislative, and I said this is mainly borrowed from the Political Parties Act and related legislation, that in terms of registration, that we must strictly operate within the confines of the law. There are two aspects here. One, we've had a joke over the years that certain political parties, I don't know how true this is, kindly don't lynch me, I don't have the evidence, that certain political parties go to M-Pesa shops and get the records there, and then use that as to register people even without their consent and without their knowledge. And therefore, if you register me in a party whose ideologies and aspirations I don't subscribe to, then you're infringing on my right, okay? Because I must have that right to choose. Two, if I'm also a member of a certain political party, and along the way I'm dropped, from the list of members, maybe because I asked too many questions, maybe I'm too inquisitive, or maybe I'm outshining certain, people within the party, then again, you'll be infringing on my rights. And therefore, the registration process must be impeccable, must, meet, that threshold of, respecting, the right to participate in the affairs of the political party. Every party must operate as a duly registered entity. I explain that if I belong to a certain political party, and along the way documents are changed, to change, the constitution and other party documents, either legally, or illegally, and in most cases illegally, then that is infringement on the part of the rights of the members. That the party, constitution, the manifesto, action plans, the gender policy, youth policy, and all those, must have that aspect of, operations within, the legal confinements. And I think ORPP at this point, gets into play. If, for instance, a certain political party wants to form a coalition, is it the business of the senior party officials just to get into a conference room somewhere, discuss, the coalition instruments, or is it my right as a member of that political party also to be consulted before we join another party for a coalition? And equally, if my political party, and probably another and another, decide to dissolve and form a merger, it is within the rights of the members, to be consulted, okay? Because that way, then it will mean that as we move even to a thing like a merger, then the rights of the members in terms of, consultation and all that, and also giving the input will have taken place. It is also within the legislation that for every party, that if we decide to form a party and we look at, the specified category of members as enshrined in the Political Parties Act, that along the way, so that probably the political party would want to be seen to be having numbers that, it would be against, the law to include minors. Minors have their rights not to participate in political processes until they are over 18, okay? I don't want to see a situation as a member of a political party that the aspirations of that party and my right, to participate, that at some point it's like now we become a religious institution. And then we also, and I know this is debatable, that we belonging to political party A, but along the way, we are pushing for the agenda of political party B. That, the law is very clear, so that if all these things are going to happen, then the right to information for the members then becomes very critical. The other one is to allow members specified rights and privileges. I know in the group that we had in the morning, we had a bit of a debate on this, that within the party instruments, within the constitution, within the operations manuals, that it will be my right to get information in terms of books of accounts. I should be accorded certain, privileges, and therefore that if this is not, if it is not given, a simple example, if I want to know the sources and amount of funds that we've received, for instance, for the last 6 months as a member of a certain political party, then it should be a right, guaranteed by the political party to me as a member. Of course, I know there will be the discussion as to the timelines when I place the request. How long should I expect to get the response, and at what point should I be allowed to get that information? If you look at the Political Parties Act, you'll also notice that, especially the books of accounts, that at any given time, the ORPP now is a duty bearer. Do I say order or requests, for provision of the contents of the books of accounts. The last bit, and I know we might spend like 15 or so minutes on this, is the administrative operations. How would the administrative operations within a political party guarantee the rights for me and any other member of a political party? One is the issue of just what I've discussed, the issue of transparent and open resource register and books of accounts. That it is within the law that must declare sources of funds. We must, at the end of the financial year, we must publish in newspapers and other outlets, and also table the same, because it has at some point, these records have to be tabled in Parliament. Then it should be a right for all members, to be able, to, in terms of, administrative processes, be able to get the required information. To keep a balanced books of accounts, that when it comes to the books of accounts, it's not just a question of putting figures there. but will the figures be balancing? Because as a member of a political party, it is my right to know if we received 50 million from a certain source, whether from the political party's fund or from legal donations. I would want to see a balanced, record. We received 50 million. This is what we spent. This is the balance. The other thing is in terms of offices. To run professionally, the head office and also county offices. The reason why I'm raising this is as a commission, at times we've had an issue in terms of access. Okay, access in terms of we want to do correspondence, we want to deliver, certain documents to a certain political party, but checking through the website, the information is not very clear and all that. The right to information, so that if my political party, which have tagged as political party A, I should be able, to know where the head office is. If I'm a member of political party A and I want to visit my office, the office of my political party, I should be able to know where. The aspect of branding, because if you look at the legislation, the issue of party colors and all that, it should be important. In terms of access, one, in terms of physical address, and also access in terms of once we have the office, how accessible will that office be in terms of, and especially let me give the example of persons with disabilities. Will that office be on the 10th floor in a building where there are no lifts, in a building where if I'm a person who has challenges of eyesight, I cannot figure out my way up to the 10th floor, and so on and so forth. And therefore, the tenets of, in terms of access to buildings, access to offices, which is very clear within our laws, then we must have human rights friendly offices. And I've given the example of persons with disabilities. The next one, and I know this is, debatable because the excuse here would be always resources. That in our political parties within the offices, the head office and also the county offices, that do we have one, in terms of staff, are they adequate? Or do we have the person at the reception being the accounts clerk, being the auditor, being the PA to the patron, and all that? How many, terms of, the size of, the office, how many members of staff do we require? Motivation and remuneration. That and I know not just for political parties. I know some of us have been to offices where you get to the reception and the first impression you get is the person in the front office is either clearly not motivated or too exhausted. Okay. And remember, one of the key activities for political parties is actually branding, because branding has an aspect of, enticing members of the society to join those political parties. The right to information, so that when I get to an office, the right for me to get the information which I require. For instance, if I go to political, now that I said I belong to political party A, but I go to political party B and I get all the information that I require, and I discover that political party B is actually better than my party, then that's a plus. Clean and accessible register of assets. That by virtue of being a taxpayer, some of these monies come from, the national coffers, and therefore, as a taxpayer, I need to know if it's political party A or B in terms of assets. the vehicles, what kind of vehicles do we have, where are they, in which states, and all that. And then a clean, record that if it is a vehicle that was bought 5 years ago, what is the situation, are there, daily entries and all that. And also because as a member of that party, I make, either annual subscriptions or occasionally I give donations to the party. And therefore it is my right to be accorded, that opportunity to inspect the register of assets. In terms of meetings, that again, one of the rights of members of a political party is the issue of meetings, whether AGM or any other meetings that will be prescribed by the constitution of the party or any other legislation. So that, for instance, if we say that the AGM for political party A will be done in every 10th month of the financial year, then it would be against, my right for me to hear that the AGM was done the 6th month of the financial year. Why? This would deny me that right to participate, one, in the process, and also to get the information that I would want, and also be accorded that opportunity to contribute to the growth of the party. You notice that in the other columns, I'm not concentrating so much so that I save more time for plenary. But I say that in case you may want to interject, feel free to do so. The other one is to effectively and efficiently all party processes. Okay, and I know we are now as political parties in that moment and time because of the preparations for the 2022 elections. The first one is recruitment. Through the mainstream media, I've heard at least about 5 or so political parties that they are going to engage in very serious recruitment initiatives. And then the question that comes into my mind is, I thought recruitment drives should be a continuous process for the political parties. Okay, I know the issues of resources. I also know that after the general elections, the energy for political parties, the officials and members also, people are too exhausted to, but the parties must have that arrangement to ensure that there is continuous recruitment. And like I had said before, that the recruitment drives must target all the members of society, youth, women, persons with disabilities, and so on and so forth. And therefore, I still insist. I'd say that in our 2017 project, one of the challenges that we noticed almost with all the political parties was the issue of the lists of membership. That is it possible to continuously keep on updating this instead of going to IBC and get a register and then adopt it as a list of membership? For me, that would be very, very big. Reason being that if we have an existing list of members, then it would be easy for me to be knowing that I still have that right to participate in the activities of political party A because my name is in the register. But if a register is done in 2021 and 2022, and then by 2024, that list is discarded, and then all of a sudden it's like we don't have a list, then you'll have denied me, that right, to be officially recognized as a member of that political party. To all party primaries in line with the party and legal provisions, I think, and I've invited you to look at our 2013 and 2017 party primaries report on the KNCHR website, that one of the things which, would I say, shocked me and the entire commission and also our stakeholders was the way party primaries were conducted in 2013 and in 2017. I make reference to the 2017 KNCHR project, that in almost all the places that we visited when the parties were holding the primaries, that there was one serious challenge in terms of logistics. No ballot materials in terms of papers. Some were trying to use either papers cut from exercise books, which of course then would now compromise the integrity of the vote. No registers. The other thing that was very glaring, the ballot boxes, use of cartons, buckets. It was not very professionally done, and that's why, although the title doesn't sound very good, but it reflects what KNCHR discovered on the ground. Our report is titled "The Fallacious Vote." Of course, fallacious from the word fallacy. You and I know that the fallacy is something that is said said to be there, but not there. Something close and related to that, and therefore, if the party primaries are not going to guarantee the rights of one, the youth, two, women, special groups, and all that, and will not be done, as per the regulations, then you'll notice that the political party will have infringed on the rights of, so many categories, of members. Two, when these party primaries are held in places where, in some of the places we visited, we're told it's like the party primaries were actually like, a secret, that people would congregate in a certain, hall and, within 2 hours, do away with, dispense with the business and then declare, the winner. Therefore, all candidates must be accorded, the right to participate in that process. Two, the issue of timelines. We noticed that for 2017, that most of the political parties did their party primaries the last week or a day to the deadline, others to the deadline. In 2013, I visited some polling stations, and I recall the deadline was on a certain Friday. But I tell you, by Sunday evening, some political parties had not done their party primaries. And therefore, also, on the part of obligations, IBC, if you give a certain deadline, RPP, whatever is expected to be done by the political parties and is not done, then you infringe on the rights of the contestants and all that. Two, it's also on the for the benefit of the political party that if all the political primaries within the stipulated time, that you be giving members an opportunity to adequately prepare, because they know the date, and those who lose gracefully, and those who win proceed with the process. Because what we noticed is that, especially for those political parties which hold their party primaries the material day, it creates a lot of acrimony. It creates a feeling of that some people are being edged out, and some people have already been given the consideration and all that, and then people jump ship and either become independent candidates or join other political parties, and their first mission is of course, because they have insider information, is to taint the image of their previous political party. So it is very, very important that the lists must respect, again, the 2-thirds gender rule, the youth and PWD's factor and related provisions. The other one is about ADR. And I want to begin from where I've stopped. That if members of a political party, either as ordinary members or as people who have offered themselves to stand for certain positions, either through party primaries and or such, that every political party should accord members and the officials that right, for them to have an opportunity to air their grievances, and for the same grievances not to be brushed aside, but the same grievances, discussed and dispensed with. Okay, so that alternative dispute resolution mechanism becomes very important. That if I feel that in our party primaries that we did not follow the law, and I feel that I did not lose the primaries in the right way, then there should be, even before we go outside the party, within the party, there should be a mechanism for me to be accorded, that opportunity, to air my grievances, and then, have a sitting, whether through mediation, whether whatever internally agreed, procedure, have my grievances discussed. And then, of course, there should be also, within the political party, a right for the members, for the candidates who feel aggrieved if and they feel that their grievances have not been adequately addressed, also to seek redress from external bodies, judiciary, ORPP, as Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, we also do mediation and so on and so forth. Then the last one is the issue to do with the right to information. And there are two aspects here. That one, the right to information, and we have an act of parliament to that effect. Access to Information Act of 2016, that it is important for political parties, and again also for their own benefit, to accord members of the society, that right, to information about, party activities, party ideology, and all that, and all the relevant issues concerning the party. Because, as I said, this is one way of enticing members of society and also attracting, bigger membership. On the flip side, also, do the members, have that right, to gain information? Okay, or is it that situation where you hear that each chama iko na wenyewe, that don't ask more than what you should know, that hold your horse and or horses, that you should know only up to this level? Okay, that it is the right for the members of any given political party. It is a right, to access information and critique where necessary. Of course, I know this requires resources, but it is within, these documents, internal documents in terms of fundraising and all that, that we should factor in, issues to do with even mainstreaming this framework within the political parties. Allow me to shift gears and introduce the final, would I call it a slide? That's based on the discussions or based on the presentation that I've made, that how then can political parties get themselves in terms of how the mainstream human rights within the internal operations. And I've picked 7 parameters. And within the 7 parameters, in each parameter, I've posed, you know, a guiding question, you know, a critical issue just to think through. And on top of that, picked on a scale of 1, 2, 3, and 4, so that then if you score 1 in the 7 parameters, then the total would be 7. And then that would be, you know, an indication that the political party in question does not, you know, support and does not promote and protect, you know, human rights within its operations. So let's begin with the first one, participation. Based on my earlier presentation, that one of the critical things that we need to do is to ensure that all the members, you know, participate fully in the affairs of the party, so that will not be told that you can only participate in campaigns, but in terms of scrutinizing books of accounts, that one you don't need to participate. And therefore, then you can give yourself a score. Is it 1, which is the lowest, or is it 4, the highest? Accountability. In terms of handling resources, terms of management, will this be conforming to party regulations? Again, if you say my party, A, for instance, occasionally seems to be accountable in terms of resources handling, then I can pick either 2 or 3. Non-discrimination, inclusion in terms of gender, race, ethnic backgrounds, social status, religion, etc. Yeah? That within the political party, that every member is given an opportunity, regardless of, you know, where they come from, regardless of their social status. Transparency. The party affairs conducted in an open and free manner, or do we just see officials, you know, retreating on their own, you know, to discuss things in closed rooms and then come out and address the media? Or is it that, you know, all the affairs, you know, are conducted openly? Human dignity, that decorum is very important. You'll agree with me that in the history of political parties in this country, we've seen, you know, very unfortunate circumstances. Members or officials of certain political parties either being ejected from the offices, acrimoniously, you know, being physically assaulted and all that. When you raise an issue, you're not branded a noisemaker or a troublemaker, but decorum is very important. Empowerment in terms of, you know, the members, you know, to participate fully in the affairs of the party. That you are empowered with the information, you're empowered with resources, regardless of the status of your status in the party. And then lastly, which is the bedrock, that must operate within the rule of law and the constitution. So that actually, if then you fail on this one, that if it's books of accounts, they are cooked. If it's nomination list doesn't meet the constitutional threshold and you score 1, then that will not be a good one. So that now, like I had said, that with a score of 7, then the political party will not be doing very well. It should actually close short there. And then 28, of course, will be the ideal situation, which all the political parties, the ones represented in this discussion and others, must seek to achieve that mark. Maureen, it's 3:30. I want to pause at that point and then allow you to guide us as to how we are proceeding from here. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I trust you can hear me. I am definitely not Maureen. My colleague Maureen has stepped out for a bit, but I'm standing in for her. And I think then we'd be able to take questions from the audience if at all there are any questions. So participants, in case you have any questions for the presenter, Lucas Kimanthi, this is the time that you can ask those questions. So perhaps if you can raise your hand, I'd be able to see you and give you an opportunity to speak. If you're not able to speak, then you can write your question in the chat box and we shall be able to see that and get through to you.
You did not say how they are going to do that. So even at the county, we don't even know what's going to happen at the county. We only know that party members will go to the election, but we don't know how are they going to do.
Dr. Jacob, are you addressing that?
Yeah, I'm listening.
We hear some noise from your end, so I'm just wondering, are you addressing this particular meeting? Okay, any questions from the audience? Any questions, any remarks on the presentation that has been made? Marjorie, okay, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
During the course of the presentation, there are some issues that were raised, and I noted some down, especially concerning membership status. And the presenter sought some clarification from our end in terms of the composition of political party membership as it relates to gender. And we have the data here. Don't know if I can share the data. Let me just try. Okay, let me just read out the data for you. In terms of the composition, in total, we have 17,450,668 political party members. And of that, 60.7 are male and 39.3 are female. And in terms of the percentages for each political party, all of the political parties are in compliance with the third gender rule in terms of membership. So I can share this document or I can send the document over so that you can see the analysis from our end. And just to reiterate and confirm that all political parties are compliant in terms of membership and the third gender rule. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that information, Marjorie. Perhaps you can put, if it's a document, you can put it on the chat and we'll be able to float that out. So thank you for that. Any other person from within the audience that has a question, remark, comment to make on the presentation? Okay. Seeing as it says that there's no response, then I'll hand it back to Lucas. Lucas, if you're still with us, then if you're done making the presentation, perhaps this is the chance to, give the parting shot so that if there are no other questions or comments, perhaps we can wrap up the meeting. Thank you, Lucas.
Thank you. Before I give my parting shots, perhaps we can give an opportunity to the political parties represented, just to give a general overview by way of just commenting in terms of the internal documents, the internal operations, how in terms of the presentation that I've made, how their documents and the operations just look like. Not necessarily very detailed, but just a general comment, because it's also for my benefit also to learn from the political parties. Hello.
Hello, we are lost.
I'm saying, in terms of our internal documents as political parties, just a general comment in terms of like the many issues which I have highlighted, just in a nutshell. In your own assessment as a member of or an official of the political party you are representing, do you feel that your documents and operations fit within the framework that we've discussed? Just a general comment. Maybe start with Wiper, ANC, PDU, DP, and any other member. Just if we can just sample like just 2 or 3 political parties. Okay. I think then.
Hi, Lucas.
Yes.
Sorry, I'd stepped out, but I can see we have a question from Joshua, and you would like to know how can you compare political parties in Kenya performance versus the performance of the advanced democracies in terms of human rights framework adherence?
I don't know if there's any other questions so that I respond to all of them at a go.
I think so far that's the only one I can
That's the only
see.
one. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I think in terms of
share something.
Lucas, just a minute. Tabu, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Kimathi, for that presentation. I wish to raise a concern that as a human rights organization, other than telling parties do this, do that, what you have is that you can work with parties to make this a reality. But at times we find it a bit absurd that the finger always points at political parties. You have networks. Is there a way that you can also, other than the presentation and waiting for parties to have their primaries to come and supervise, what do you have that is concrete for parties to achieve some of these that will be very good for this country? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tabu. Lucas, maybe you can take the 2 as we wait for other members to maybe raise their questions.
Okay. Thank you, Joshua. I like the approach for comparative analysis as to how we fare as a country in terms of mainstreaming human rights within political parties, and also what happens perhaps in advanced democracies, probably in Europe and other jurisdictions. That's for me, it emanates from the general aspect of the grading of the country in terms of even the global index in terms of human rights. That even apart from political parties, how do we rate as a country in terms of respect for human rights generally? And your guess is as good as mine that we have very serious issues about extrajudicial killings. which also seem to escalate anytime we are having elections. We are having serious challenges to do with corruption, which also escalates during the electioneering period. Issues of bribery, and such. We have very serious issues to do with integrity, although we have a whole chapter in the Constitution on integrity, and therefore it begins from there. And therefore, then my quick response would be, we are not doing very well. If you look at, and I invite you to look at our website, in the 2017 project, we did 4 reports, starting with the party primaries, the campaigns and the first voting, then the fresh presidential elections, then also did a report on SGBV. And if you look at what we've included in those reports, with a lot of very strong evidence, then you'll notice that in terms of mainstreaming human rights within the political parties is one thing. Okay, and I invite you to have a look at our 4 reports. Tabu, the question as to what KNCHR would do instead of just pinpointing these issues. One, I would say that actually what we are doing now as a Human Rights Commission is part of it. That part of our work is to keep on sensitizing, and sensitizing means not reminding political parties as to their obligations based on our own imaginations, but based on what the Constitution and what the legislation says. Therefore, that is one, and we've been doing it. 2, any political party which has approached us in the past, either wanting assistance, either to review documents and such, we are a constitutional body. We don't charge anything. We also expect that political parties also come to us, and for whatever assistance which is within our mandate, we'll be able to do that. And then lastly, that in the 4 reports which I've referred to, we have a set of recommendations for over 20 key actors, starting from IBC, political parties, ORPP, judiciary, ODPP, and many, many others. And therefore, one of the things that we keep on doing is also to share these recommendations. For instance, if you look at the recommendations for political parties, which I've summarized, and I'd said in our presentations last week, that one of the things that we are also planning to do is to publish these recommendations and share with the political parties, even at this time when I know most of you are reviewing your documents, internal documents that is, and also as you prepare for the party primaries and the elections. And therefore, these recommendations, for us, it's one critical thing that we keep on doing as a commission. But I want to reiterate that also let political parties not feel that our work is just to point fingers and say that, well, you've not done what is supposed to be done. But it can also be the other way around, that if it's like the discussion that we're having today, for instance, allow me to pick an example of Jubilee, for instance. If Jubilee wants assistance in terms of, an objective discussion, in terms of, how they can mainstream human rights within the operations, we'll be willing to do that. If another party, ANC, UDA, DP, PDU, if they can approach us, then we are willing, to assist, so long as the request is within our mandate. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry, just give me a minute. Sorry for that. There was an echo from my colleague's computer. Thank you so much, Lucas, for that elaborate presentation and explanation. I don't know if there's someone else who has a question before we close the meeting off. And I like the idea that Tabu, we've been told by Lucas that he will be open, or the commission, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, will be ready to, help the political parties on how to even, input these ideals into their into your political parties' systems. So I think, and as we know, most political parties are in the process of looking into their constitutions and their internal party documents. And I hope that if this is something of interest for the political parties, maybe you can reach out to CMD-Kenya so that we can reach out to the commission so that they may be, they may take part in leading the political party on how to infuse these ideals into the various systems of the political party. I can see we have Maggie and Brian Kitui. Maggie, maybe you can go first and then Brian can go second. Thank you. Maggie, if you can hear me.
Yeah. Yes, thank you so much.
I don't know if it's from my side, but Maggie, we can hardly hear you.
Is time, and I just want to thank Lucas for the good presentation of parties. We need to have more discussion with the political parties so that we can have. Can you hear me? I don't know. Hello? Hello?
Yes, Maggie, now we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Can't hear you, can't hear you.
I think we've just lost.
Hello? Hello?
Maggie, yes, Maggie, now we can hear you.
I was saying,
yes,
I want to thank Lucas for the good presentation. And I'm saying that those ideas and things he has talked about can actually be practiced in political parties. And I was saying that maybe we can have one-on-one so that he can actually meet a bigger group in a political party and really go through that. And I was just wondering in his presentation whether this research he has done, how can he survey political parties in our neighboring countries, Uganda, Tanzania, or let me say East Africa, on the issues of for them infusing human rights issues into their political parties. I would just want maybe a little of insight as you close the meeting. Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you so much, Maggie. Lucas, I hope you've taken that question from Maggie. She would like to know the comparatives between Kenya and the Ugandan political parties. As we digest on that, let me just request Brian to ask his question, and then you can take them all. Brian. Brian, please go ahead. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Please go ahead.
My question is not for Lucas, but for the political parties represented here. I don't know if anyone would be kind enough to respond to it. The question on political party primaries, yeah? And is there any political party that has a party register that it intends to use for the political party primaries? Because what we have seen in the past is the use of IEBC register, and that means the party nominations are not restricted to party members only, but anyone, and it also allows me to vote to vote in as many political party primaries as I wish to participate in. So I don't know, leading up to the 2022 elections, is there a political party that can pride itself in saying we have a political party register that we intend to use for our party primaries, and anyone who shows up for the party primaries and is not in our party register will then be turned away and not allowed to vote? Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. So we can take that question back to the various leaders from the political parties here. I can see we have Maggie again from YNC. We have Tabu from Kenya.
Yes,
You also have Joshua from Kano, to just, make clear this the issue of party registers. We also have representatives from PDU. I can see we have David Maina here, and then from EFP, I think I saw Nazra and Alio. Maybe we can take that order, and then I will give it back to Lucas to just answer the question that was raised by Maggie.
Can I take my go?
Yes, Tabu.
Thank you very much. Brian, you can take this to the bank. As now Kenya, we have a membership register, and we used it in 2017 in the areas we conducted our party primaries. And moving forward to 2022, we will use it as updated by the time we shall be submitting to ORPP and IBC. Take that to the bank. Thank you.
Thank you, Tabu.
Hello?
Maggie?
Yes. I would want just to let the person who asked the question know that with ANC, we have a party register that we intend to use for our party primaries. And if you are not in the party register, it means you have not registered with the party. So you make point to register with the party. So we are in the process of cleaning up our register, ready for 2022 party primaries. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. Joshua?
Yes, thank you, Maureen. We were the first party to start the digital registration of members, and we intend to improve that digital system to enable us also conduct electronic party primaries, because now we do have a digital registration that record for members. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joshua, Tabu, and Maggie. I don't know if you have someone from DP. I think Dr. Haji dropped off, or I can see Dr. Justin Kiambi here from Wiper. Maybe you can also tell us the perspective of Wiper, and
Yes.
and then either David or Gladys will give us the status from PGU party, and then we can have I think Nazra from EFP or Aliyah from EFP.
Okay, on Wiper, we have a party register, and we are also in the process of cleaning out the register. At the same time, we have a digital registration, which is ongoing and is actually doing very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne, representing Wiper. I think Dr. Jacob Haji dropped off. David or Gladys from PDU, if you may have the status of the party, maybe you can just update us. All right, I think as they put their thoughts together, we can go back to Lucas to just address the question that was asked earlier on comparative studies, and then we'll just take it back to Marjorie to tell us if these political parties usually comply with, having the correct party registers. Lucas.
Yes, Maureen. In terms of comparative analysis, how political parties mainstream human rights in their operations in East Africa. Allow me to begin from a higher level, the continental level, that political parties in Africa, are either vehicles which are temporarily created by certain people or sections of the society, mainly for their own gain. I hope I'm not very harsh by making that statement. And I'm coming from the point of I belong to a certain group where we do analysis for political processes in Africa. In the South, probably South Africa, a bit of tolerance for divergent views in terms of political parties. That's how you find economic freedom, party, openly challenging ANC and such. Moving upwards up to Central African Republic, we know what happened last year and also, in their last general elections. Then towards where we are situated with our neighbors, the case of Somali, I don't want to go into details. The case of Ethiopia, in the month of June, I had an opportunity, to train the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission as they were preparing for the elections. Hello. Yeah, Sadat, the discussions that I had with the officials of, that country, in terms of comparison, I'll make the conclusion. Tabu, kindly mute. Then Southern Sudan, of course, we know it's not easy to separate the military wing and the political wing. The political party and the military, is like one. Uganda, Bobby Wine and the relationship with the ruling party. I don't want to get into details. Tanzania, another case. And therefore, then you find that moving upwards, the Northern African countries, where again, at times religion and political parties, the intolerance is too high. Parts of the West and North bit, very nice tolerance. Countries like Ghana, although the elections last year, also gave us a different picture. And therefore, where we are as a country, by virtue of, the analysis that I've given, then you'd find that although we don't score very high, but somehow the level of tolerance and also, the aspect of allowing members to participate in political party affairs is fairly good. So in terms of, East Africa, the Eastern Africa, I think we deserve a clap as a country. We are somewhere, though not where we aspire to be. Was there any other thing that I was supposed to respond to? Probably the issue of the party registers there, that it would be very important that, as we prepare for 2022, that, at least even if we are not going to score high on all the other aspects, but let's, parties build their ideology and also, entice members, people to register as members and all that. So that when we be coming to the ground as the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, you'll not surprise us, by giving us, for lack of a better word, example, the IBC register during the party primaries. Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you so much, Lucas. I hope we haven't closed anyone out with the question session. Let me just have a look at the chats. I think I read that from Joshua. And then we have one from Tieno. She's saying, as a human rights lawyer, I would like to state that the presentation was elaborate in demystifying the nexus between human rights compliance and political processes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tieno Ogola. That was a comment from her. And now, since I can see that we do not have any other questions, I'm going to just close off the meeting for today. And I hope that as we conclude the discussions tomorrow with the women representatives, we'll be able to even come back and reflect internally on the various processes within the political parties. And as Maggie has said, I hope that Lucas, you are the commission and your fellow colleagues will be ready to engage with the political parties once they come in to ask for your help, so that you can help them to even mainstream these ideals into their various political processes and the internal documentations of these parties. Yes, as from here in CMD-Kenya, is just to say asanteni sana, for taking part in this meeting, and to also thank Lucas for that wonderful facilitation. Since morning we had another group, and now we've had this second group, which is comprised of KANU, DP, PDU, ANC, WIPA, NAC Kenya, EFP, and I hope I haven't left anyone out, because we're supposed to also be joined by someone from ODM and PNU. And so ours is just to say asanteni sana for taking time to join us today. And we hope that we'll continue to engage even as we move forward. From here in CMD-Kenya is to say kweni na jioni njema, and we hope to catch up soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Maureen. Thank you for the meeting. See you next time.
Thank you, Maureen.
Thank you, and
Maureen.
goodbye.
Thank you, Maureen. God bless you. Plus the organization, God bless you so much.
Thank you, CMD, for the opportunity. Thank you.